Alrighty guys, it is Quaman here today, and I'm bringing you another episode of Dragon Ball Thought for Talk, but this is the biggest Thought for Talk that we have had so far, as we have 4 guests ranging from the permanent co-host Blackenfist and 2 very special guests, Thundershot and Rhymestyle. So in today's video, we'll be talking about something that I discussed with Rhymestyle in terms of the actual donation of Spirit Bomb energy. Now, this has always been a pretty interesting topic because it's always been kind of ambiguous as to how just putting your hands in the air donates to a Spirit Bomb that's like a quadrillion light years away. So without wasting any more time, we're going to get straight into our thoughts on how we think it happened. So, Rhymestyle, you brought up the topic, so you start us off.
Well, first and foremost, before I start, Kwame, I need to say a shout out to somebody. Big shout out to Ronnie, because he's awesome.
All kinds of anime! All kinds of anime!
But going into the topic, Spirit Bomb. So this is a discussion that me and Kwame had a couple days ago about how does the Spirit Bomb work? Like, why does raising your hand in the air send out energy to Goku? How the hell does that work? And as a Z Warrior, not even as a Z Warrior, but as a warrior in the Dragon Ball Z universe, you learn to basically take the ki that's inside your body and propel it forward. That is known as an energy blast, wave attacks, whatever you want to call it. That's how attacks work. But what I think King Kai discovered was he found the ability that you can also control the ki around you and basically gather that energy into one ball of attack, aka the Spirit Bomb. And I think that's how it's done. So essentially what Goku does is he raises his hands in the air and essentially uses his body as a channel to kind of absorb all the energy around him and kind of just propel it into one spot, and that is where the Spirit Bomb essentially is born. But the only question that I've kind of had is what does raising a hand in the air do? Because technically, like the humans, for example, I mean, I get it, when you raise your hands in the air, you're sending out your energy yourself, but when humans do it, for example, when they were doing in the Kid Buu fight, humans didn't know that they would raise their hand and then, propel energy to Goku so he can make the Spirit Bomb. So that's the part that's kind of confusing about it. But I'm still going to stick with my theory that all Goku and King Kai have figured out, or King Kai really, has figured out is you can control the ki around you and kind of like use your body, Goku's body, as kind of like the cannon that just gathers all the energy in one spot and then basically prepares this big shell attack that he can then throw at his enemies and then completely obliterate them. So that's kind of my view of the attack.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up on that, and you're confused as to what raising your hands actually does. So I think with Goku wanting to accept the energy, you have to also be willing to give it, and I think there's some kind of channel that Goku has one half to with wanting to accept it, and then you have to, like, willingly also do that. I don't think necessarily raising your hands is the key to doing that. You gotta want to give up the energy, and Goku has to want to receive it, bottom line, or it's not going to happen. As we've seen with regular Ki Blast, Kamehameha Waves, Final Flash, whatever, the hands appear to be the best point in order to release your Ki, Chi, whatever it may be. So I think perhaps raising your hands up in the air allows it to leave your body easier, would be one theory. I don't think Akira thought this deep, by the way. I think we're way overlooking into this, but I think the hands just may be a better way to release ki or chi, because as you see, like when you see the little sprinkles, sparkles, unicorn farts, whatever they are, coming off of people when they start gathering the Spirit Bomb, it's coming off of their whole body, not just their hands. So I think he's gathering energy from everywhere, but the hands are just one of the best places to get it from, because with how they fire Ki Blast, that's just an easier exit point for it, I guess. That's my take on it.
So I like that theory, but my only counter to that is what about Videl? Videl was like the next human, or I guess the best human in the crew that was able to make basically form her ki into an attack. And remember how much that took? Like that took a lot for a person who had so much martial arts experience. It took a lot for this girl to be able to just even gather the tiniest bit of energy when she made that. When she formed ki in her hands with Gohan at one time. Like, how does it work for the humans, though? Like they don't know that ki exists, or that they can actually, like, stick their hands up and, like, take this energy, like...
They don't have to charge it, they don't have to create it, they just have to be willing.
Thundershot, you actually made a very good point on the fact that, the hands do seem a center point to how ki, chi, the energy is released in Dragon Ball. Hands seem to be, like, the number one. I mean, we see a couple of mouth, maybe through the fingers, but the hands definitely seem to be the dominant thing, and that could definitely be it. But I think that it's also, like, you also have to keep in mind that in sentient beings have to consent to their energy being taken. So Goku can't just take their energy away, or he can't just forcefully do it. And I think that maybe also, I always thought that the reason they raised their hands was that was just them physically consenting to whatever, which was Goku, I guess, in this case, physically consenting to Goku taking their energy, because obviously, like, Thundershot brought up before, humans don't know how to manipulate their ki, so obviously Goku would have to be taking it himself, since he's the one who can manipulate ki, after, of course, the person has consented. So I think I thought that was the reason why. I thought that was just them making, a sign like, hey, I'm okay with you taking my energy,
Whether they were actually willing or not, because you remember when Android 17 held up them in the forest and said, hey, you pointed the gun like, hey, raise your hands, motherfucker. But
it is true that sentient beings do have to consent to receiving energy, because obviously if Goku could just take energy from the humans or everybody pretty much, he wouldn't have to ask them. He would just like whoosh, and just take it all, and the whole drama of, the people don't want to raise their hands, they don't want to give us our energy, that wouldn't be a thing because he would just take it. But he couldn't do that. So, although I do think, yes, that's funny, and I do think that perhaps that could be a little inconsistency, but I also think that was kind of also just a joke, too, so...
Mr. Quaman?
Well. I think that we've all brought up a lot of good ideas, but ultimately, the question comes into something that's almost impossible to answer, but I'm going to try to answer it anyways. The question is, as proposed by Rhymestyle, how the hell does raising your hand signal to some being that's so far away? How the hell does raising your hand say, oh, well, I'm gonna send you my energy? That's the problem that I've always had. Like, it's like, so if I raise my toe, does it mean it's gonna mean that my energy is gonna go away? That's always been my confusion. Now,
what if you had your arms blown off in Nam?
Oh my god. So if I raise my head like on Minecraft, does that mean I'm donating my energy? That's always been my problem. But I think, honestly, it's kind of like a symbol. I think it's all symbolic, guys. I think that's my ultimate answer. I think it was all symbolic that Toriyama says, let's raise our hands and help. I think that's kind of what it was supposed to signify. I don't think it was necessarily ever really thought about, because if you really think about it, all of these humans who don't even know how to channel energy, how does it basically just send it towards the Saiyans? Now, what I do think, however, is that since Thundershot made a good point, like, the center of focus is that even though we don't really know how to actually channel our energy, since raising our hand, essentially in a weird way, I guess you could say, puts the energy at the tips, and, the Spirit Bomb can do the rest of the work by understanding that the key is supposed to be gathered. Maybe that's kind of like a connection. Now, raising it to the sky is a weird thing, because what if I'm on the opposite side of the Earth and, where Goku is on the Supreme Kai planet is on the completely different side? Maybe putting it down would actually be more beneficial. You don't know. But at the end of the day, I think that it's all symbolic in terms of, the whole, we can do it, guys, and that's essentially how it all works out. Now, the big kink in all of this has to take place with the actual Saiyan saga, in which Goku was gathering energy against, Vegeta. How the hell did he actually get the energy? But then Black and Fist brought up a good point in saying, well, when it pertains to, like, plants and other living beings, they can essentially just, send their energy off as, I don't know, a supplement.
It's heavily implied that for non-sentient life forms, Goku can either the energy just naturally flows to the Spirit Bomb, or Goku just takes it, whichever one you want to take.
Well, then this brings up the final ultimate question that Rhymestyle, of course, had asked quite a bit a while ago. Can Cell do a Spirit Bomb?
There was an argument or a debate that I've been in a couple years ago, where it's like, you don't have to be pure good. You can be either pure good or pure evil to do your attack. I like that theory in terms of, like, what faction you have to be when you use the Spirit Bomb. Because the thing is, if you think about it, it's like, if the attack really is just Goku gathering energy around himself, then anybody can do it, whether you're good or bad. But I guess being evil is probably kind of like a more difficult factor in getting the energy. It's like, well, you're evil, I'm not giving you my energy. But at the same time, I guess you might be sapping energy in that case. So, I don't know, there's a lot of theories about it. I mean, Toriyama is a great writer, because we know he's the best writer when it comes down to anime, and he explains everything.
So if Cell was gathering a Spirit Bomb on the Supreme Kai planet, How do you think that would have worked?
The thing is the only reason why the Spirit Bomb gathered so fast against Kid Buu is because people willingly gave up the energy. Because if you remember on Planet Namek when he was trying to gather the Super Spirit Bomb, it took so long because literally everything on Namek was dead, and he had to borrow energy from around the solar system, and it took really long to gather the energy. Whereas the fight against Kid Buu, that was really like a 3-minute long process of him gathering energy. Because everybody gave him the power. Because if you remember, right when he got that last bit of energy from everybody, it just goes whoosh, and there it is, Spirit Bomb.
Well, then my only problem with that was that when Goku was carrying up against Kid Buu, why were there points where it stopped? Shouldn't he have gotten energy from, the non-living beings too?
Well,
From the what?
I think he did, but it was just too slow. Because the thing is from the Earth things, they gave him energy faster. That's what that was.
I see what you're saying. So it was more of a direct communication. And then, we have to bring it up, and although some of you might not be happy, when GT happens, how do you think that goes with the whole Universal?
I've always had the problem with the name Universal Spirit Bomb because that implies that you're gathering literally, like all the energy of the universe, pretty damn close to it, and if you are, I mean, it would be much more powerful than what was depicted in the show if that's truly a universal spirit bomb,
Also, can we point out something else? The whole idea of you can't be a Super Saiyan while you do Spirit Bomb. Can we talk about that? Why?
Yeah, the whole reasoning behind that is because originally what happened with the Super Saiyan was that you had to have extreme emotion, you had to be extremely angry in order to transform. That's what the trigger was to transform. And while doing the Spirit Bomb, you have to be extremely calm. But however, Goku theoretically, honestly, although a lot of people say that Goku cannot do that canon-wise because, he has to, the Super Saiyan transformation is inherently angry and you have to get inherently tense. The thing is, Goku did train at least in Super Saiyan 1 to be completely natural, so theoretically he could do it at the Super Saiyan state, because if he did train himself, so theoretically that could work. But however, that's of course post-cell training, pre-cell training, he would not be able to do that.
Is that argument anywhere around? Is that ever brought up in the manga or anime, or is that just an argument that was brought up around?
No, that's just common sense, because the Spirit Bomb was always like, oh, you gotta be calm, you gotta control yourself, you gotta be calm in order to be one with the energy or whatever, that, and of course the Super Saiyan was portrayed at first to be almost the complete opposite of that, so it was just common sense that, it just made sense that you couldn't do that, you couldn't do both of these. And and I just wanted to bring up, I'm sorry, Thundershot, if you were going to bring this up, but and that's the reason the Spirit Bomb failed in the 13 movie, by the way. The Super Android 13 movie actually was pretty interesting because it actually did have a theoretical scenario in what would happen if Goku did transform into a Super Saiyan pre-cell training, of course. What would happen? And what would happen is that, I guess worst case scenario is that the Spirit Bomb would fail. But the Spirit Bomb not only failed, Goku would somehow manage to absorb the energy from it. But the Spirit Bomb would fail anyway,
In Xenoverse, every single form of Goku can do a Spirit Bomb. Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God, all those have a Spirit Bomb as an attack.
Now, games have been known to do uncanon things, and Xenoverse being a very out there game, especially in terms of story mode, does not confirm by any means, but that's interesting to point out that it is there.
Well, I actually think that, even though that's true, I still think that it's pretty possible that Super Saiyan God could do a Spirit Bomb, I'm pretty sure. I just mean theoretically, I think that a Super Saiyan God could probably do a Spirit Bomb, considering the fact that the way that the transformation was triggered was just so calm. Like, Goku didn't even realize he had transformed. Like, is this Super Saiyan God? That's how he was at first. So I do think that, theoretically, I think that it could possibly work with Super Saiyan God canon-wise. With Super Saiyan 3, hell no, though.
He can't control it, though, as we see from the Buu fight, once he becomes at least a Super Saiyan. Because he gets his energy back and he does that final shove on Kid Buu.
Well, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, guys, what I think we really got out of this conversation was that, from what it seems from Rhymestyle's definition, and all of us tend to agree, it seems like raising your hands is more of a way to accelerate the process of gathering energy, but just you standing around and, doing the spirit bomb, it kind of already does it. Well, in Black and Fizz's case, he's saying if you're a sapient being, but right, but for a regular beings, you just naturally get the energy at a very, very, very slow process, and raising your hands, even though it might be ambiguous, it accelerates the process. But I think it's all symbolic to illustrate, that we're all kind of in this together. But I think this has been a very, very interesting thought for talk. I didn't think we could go in so many different directions. I think this is pretty interesting stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember, everything related to all the spirit bombs. We brought up a lot of good points, and I hope you guys enjoy. So please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And please check out Ronnie.
All kinds of anime.
Yes, he's an awesome kid. He makes a lot of videos about all four of us. So please check out his channel and share some love. So take care, everybody.